Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of I Think I'm Human Too. If you noticed, last week we did not have an episode because I was in New York for New York Fashion Week, and when I got back, I didn't feel like a human, but that's part of being a human. Is sometimes you're just not it, okay? It's just not the vibe, and getting your shit together is just, that's okay too. So if you want to hear all about our New York Fashion Week trip, it is going to be all talked about on Bleep That Out with my episode with Savannah. So if you have any interest, nosiness, or anything along those lines, go ahead and check out that episode. I am so excited about it. It's so fun. We get into all the nitty gritties, all the questions you guys asked about what you wanted to know about New York Fashion Week, all that fun stuff. So I want to talk about a couple different things this week. Actually, no, not really. I want to talk about moving across the country. I think a lot of people don't know that I've done that, and I've actually done it twice. So I grew up in Florida, and granted, I was born in Minnesota, but I was moved before I was like even old enough to know what my own name was. So I was raised in Florida my whole life. At 16, 17, I got in a fight with my mom, and I was like, I'm going to live with my dad. And she was like, go then, bye. And I did. So I spent a year and a half in Minnesota with my dad, and I finished my high school career here. I ended up going back down south to Florida to go to college because I really missed my friends. I missed being home. I had a tie to Florida. And I want to talk about that because moving is so terrifying, especially doing that as a young adult. But I don't know. I think it's so important because it's taught me so much. And I tell anyone and everyone, if you can, and if you have any sort of desire about moving out of your hometown, even if you're only moving an hour away, 2 hours away, 6 hours away, 2,000 miles away, do it. Every single girlfriend that I've ever known that's left our hometown, they look like they are thriving beyond, like, I don't want to be mean, but it's like every time I see someone online when they've moved, it's almost like their life is so much better. I don't know. So when I went back for college, it was because I missed my friends. I missed all my hometown friends. I missed the girls that I grew up with from K to 12, K to 11. And as soon as I went back, I was like, no, there's a reason I left. It's like so when I moved to Minnesota for like the year and a half in high school, I realized how much more to life there is than just your hometown. So I say if you are in that headspace of like, do I go or do I not? I always encourage you. And I always will say, hell yes. Hell yes, go. What's the worst that can happen? You move back? I always say try something for at least a bit of time. Like if you're going to go, let me tell you guys my story. So when I moved from Minnesota back down to Florida for college, I had $450. And I'm not exaggerating. Like I literally had $450 in my bank account, and that was it. And I just graduated high school. I was like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it work. Parts of me feels like I didn't last in Florida longer. No, parts of me knows I didn't last in Florida longer because of a money situation. So when I went down for college, I filled out for FAFSA and all that fun stuff. And then I moved in. My rent was $450. So I immediately picked up 2 jobs. I worked at Charming Charlie's. And then the second job I was at Red Lobster as a host. And through that time frame, I was like, nope, I still am barely making ends meet. I'm taking 18 credits. It was so insane. I was basically a student and a half with how much schooling I was doing. And then I also, again, had to pick up a third job. So I ended up picking up a job serving at this Italian restaurant and working all 3 jobs, going to college, still trying to be a college kid. It was way too much. I literally took on way more than I could handle. I was drowning and I physically could not do it. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting in the Italian parking lot after my serving shift, and I had this like mason jar in my car that I kept my change in, and then I was counting the cash that was in my apron. And I called my dad, and my dad answered the phone, and he goes, "Hey, honey," because that's how he always answered the phone when I called him. "Hey, honey." And I just started crying. And he was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I just can't do this anymore. My brain is tapped out. I'm overwhelmed. I'm exhausted." And I think my body was tired, but also my mind knew I just wasn't supposed to be in Florida. I think when I went back for college, I was trying to hold on to what I thought I only knew, which is really what I only knew. I only knew the girls down there. I only had dated my high school boyfriend for all 4 years of high school, and I was trying to make it work with him. Ultimately, he's really the reason why I moved back, is because I really wanted it to work with him, because it's all you know, you know? And I get back down south and it was just not the same. I changed. I kind of realized I didn't really want to be there. It was almost like I was testing the waters of like, do I really want to be in Florida anymore? So after that, a couple of months went past. I lived down there for quite some time. Or not even that, not quite some time, for a little bit of time. And I was like, nope. Fuck it. I'm moving back to north. I really wanted to do Chicago or New York. That would have been my absolute dream. I still have regrets for not trying. But I know that my trajectory was Minnesota, for the simple fact of I was supposed to meet my husband. I was supposed to be here and learn the lessons I had. And I was also supposed to be here to cultivate the relationship that I was able to with my father. So I'm very excited and thankful that I was able to be here in the last few years of his life and really just get that bond with him. And I'm getting off topic, but when I moved back, I kind of felt like when I moved back to Minnesota, okay? So now I'm back in Minnesota and I was kind of starting over. Because when I was in high school here, I knew I wanted to go back to Florida. So I didn't really make friends. I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. Especially moving in high school. Let me just side note this combo. When I came up for high school, I was very tan because obviously I'm coming from Florida. I moved in the middle of my junior year. So everyone up here, it was already winter. My first 3 days of high school up here were actually cold days. Like, it wasn't even snowing. It was literally that it was so cold that they couldn't have school. So I was like, oh, I could get used to this. 3 days off. And it was my first 3 days in school. Anyways, but I didn't really put time and energy into the relationships and the friendships here. I have one girlfriend who I'm still friends with to this day that I cared about. But other than that, I didn't really give a shit. I was trying really hard to find the balance between wanting to fit in and also just wanting to go back down to Florida. So when I moved to Minnesota, that's kind of where that relationship or that story time tied in. I didn't put in the effort when I was here for that year and a half because I knew I was going back down south, not expecting to come back up north. So when I came back up north, I didn't have friends. I didn't know anybody. I signed back up for college up here and I ended up working back at Red Lobster. I will say, as an adult, one of the best and easiest ways to meet a friend is through your job. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but when you think about it, you choose that job because of a reason, right? And I chose serving and being in the hosting, bartending industry because I liked meeting new people, and that was the easiest way to do it. Customers come in all the time. Coworkers are always in and out. And then you just get to meet new people. So it was kind of like my favorite part about working at Red Lobster. So I ended up meeting my ex-boyfriend there. And that was kind of like where my friends were. All of my friends worked at Red Lobster. We were all around the same age. My boyfriend at the time, his friends kind of worked there. And then that was just really like where my community started to build. And then I quit Red Lobster. I started working at the bank. I met new friends at the bank. And those were some of my absolute best friends for such a long time. They were so fun. We were always having the best of times. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. But again, I really just think that coworkers at that 19 to 23 age, like, it's so fun working in industries where it's customer service based because when you're, I don't know. I'm not going to talk shit, but I hated customers and everybody I always worked with hated bad customers. Like, we loved our good ones, but we hated our bad ones. And we would just like talk mad shit. I don't know. It was fun. But that was like the best way to learn how to make new friends after a big move. You have to have a job. You got to pay your bills. And again, like I said, I started in college here. So I met some girls here. But again, I did not really cultivate those relationships because I kind of knew that I just really wasn't, I don't know. I just wasn't in the mindset to. I will say, still to this day, I have a lot of sadness of moving because when you move away, your best friends always say, like, I'm going to come visit you. No, they don't. My absolute best friend actually ended up sleeping with my ex-boyfriend like days after I moved out of the state. And that was very awkward to me because I'm like, okay. Just a little tea there. But anyways, you have these girlfriends from back home that are like, yeah, I'm going to come see you. I'm going to come visit. I can't wait for you to come back home. It just doesn't work that way. If you're able to communicate and keep that friendship, more power to you. I love that. But if you don't, that's okay too. I've talked about many times in the friendship episodes of where it's okay to part ways from your friends. It's okay to move on. Whatever you need to do, it's not bad. It's not bad at all to grow, to change, to evolve, and to meet new people. So I want to get into next episode. I will talk about like how to make new friends and the ways to go about losing a friend, making new friends, different avenues. I mean, all my girlfriends that are in my circle right now, they've come from totally different streams of friendships, and I love that. And we've all become this big old group where we get along, and I don't know. So anyways, let's get back to it. So when I moved, I ended up driving up here. My girlfriend that I met in high school in Minnesota flew down to Florida, and we ended up doing the drive. It was about 26 hours straight, and I did it straight through. We did not sleep. We got up here, and I ended up living with my dad and stepmom at the time. Then when I met my boyfriend, well, my ex-boyfriend, but my boyfriend at the time, I ended up moving in with him, and we got this like cute little rinky-dinky apartment. It was actually like, I don't want to say Section 8 housing. What is it called? I think it's called like affordable living. And it was funny because to get in, you had to like either be like a student, you had to be on government assistance, whatever. But it was like certain stipulations. I don't know. It was very weird. But anyways, we lived in like this. It was actually a very nice apartment, but it was like really cheap. I don't know. It was very random, but I had to share that with you. Where was I going with this, you guys? I have been struggling really hard ever since I lost my dad, falling asleep and staying asleep. I was tossing and turning all night long, and I wanted to find a way where I could fall asleep but stay asleep and get good sleep. And so I started doing some research, and I wanted a natural supplement, and I went online and I found out magnesium is hands down one of the best things that you can take for sleep. But most brands of magnesium only have 1 to 2 types of magnesium in it. Then I started researching Magnesium Breakthrough and tried them out. Absolutely love them. So they have all 7 types of magnesium in them. So it'll help you fall asleep, stay asleep, get good sleep, wake up feeling rested. The other part of it is when you're lacking sleep and you're so exhausted, your day, your productivity, it's not good because you're just tired. All you want to do is go back to bed. Your mind's all jumbled. And ever since I've been taking Magnesium Breakthrough, I feel so much better throughout the day. So I reached out to them, and they did give me a code for you guys. So any of my listeners, if you use this code, you'll get 10% off on Magnesium Breakthrough. Let me get the exact code for you guys. It is, so you're going to go to magbreakthrough.com/human2. That's magbreakthrough.com/human2. And then the code is human2. I hope this works for you guys. Let me know if you try it out, and happy sleep. So when you start to move across the country, you're going to get, or wherever you're going, right? You're going to go to your new place. You're going to settle in. You're going to find your apartment. You're going to find a house. You're going to be doing whatever the hell you need to be doing. You're going to have to find a job. You're going to have to find a new community. But in that time frame, you have to just be patient. And I know that sounds absolutely cuckoo, but that is the most important thing. I was patient. And patience is not my strong suit, but I came and I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to try and find new friends. I'm going to just figure this out. I didn't, after 2 days, I wasn't like, oh my God, I got to go back home. Like, I hate this. I gave it time. And over time, you start to just decide, like, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm going to be. I'm going to be patient, and the things that are meant to come to me are going to come to me. But it stinks because when you're in a vulnerable state like that, there's good and bad that both come to you. And a lot of the time you want to chase after the bad because 99 times out of 100, the bad is easier. It's easier to run with the bad crowd. It's easier to get into bad habits, and but it's so hard to break them. So just be patient with yourself. Don't just jump at the first opportunity that comes to you just because you feel like you have to. Maybe for a job, I can understand that. If you have to have a job to have your ends meet, I can understand that. But if it's a guy or if it's a friend, like, it's okay to go explore the new town by yourself. It's okay to be there by yourself and learn new things and find new places and just be alone. Like, sometimes I feel like so many people get caught up in not wanting to be alone, and then they find themselves in a rut like I was, where I was dating a shitty guy, being friends with all his friends, which were shitty friends, and it's just sad. So in talking about new friends, I want to talk, like I said previously, I want to have a whole topic on how to make new friends in a new city, in a new town, in your 20s, as a female, as your later 20s. I want to talk all about like the ins and outs of making new friends, but that'll come. So be patient, then start focusing on your friends. Obviously, a lot of people move after they've got a job opportunity lined up. I did not do that. I moved and just got a serving job because that was just like the time frame of life that I was in, and it was just quick and easy. But anyways, I also think that there's so much beauty in just embracing your adventure too. Again, being your own friend in that time period of being patient, you will learn how insane it is. Like, you learn so much about yourself. And a lot of times when people are running across the country and finding a new place, it's because they want to find themselves. They want to know more about themselves. They're testing their boundaries. They're saying, what can I do on my own? And a lot of the times it's very scary. Like, if my tire would have popped on the side of the road, that would have been horrifying, but I would have had to figure it out. I think there's so much beauty in doing things on your own, being your own friend, embracing your adventures, saying yes to things that are outside of your comfort zone. There was a girlfriend that I had that I met. I was no longer bartending and serving and hosting and all that fun stuff, but I met her through a friend of a friend, and she loved to hike. Never in my life was I a hiker, and it was actually so much fun. Did I keep up that hobby? No, because again, it's still not for me, but it actually built a closer friendship with her because I was able to get out of my comfort zone, learn about myself, and then learn about her. So that's also so, like, that can even tie more into exploring the areas, explore in different ways, learn about the culture of your new hometown. I think that is such a fun thing. The town that I came from, it's this cute little town. It was Scottish. So there was so much heritage there. And if roles were to have reversed and I were to be moving there, I think that would have been such a fun culture to learn. And if anyone were to ever move to my hometown, it's called Dunedin, Florida. It was such a cute little town, and I would tell people about that. I would be like, go to their downtown quarters and like go to the bars and the strips and the restaurants down there. It's so cute. It's right on the water. There's Scottish everywhere. They have like a Scottish festival. The high school mascot's a Scottish person with bagpipes, and I don't know. It was just so fun. But that's so important when you do move, to learn about the culture, because you're gonna enjoy the town and the city way more when you learn about the history of it, where it came from, how it started, the buildings. When I moved to St. Paul, I loved the history here. I loved learning about it. It was so empowering to know that the old building I lived in was an old shoe factory, and I think that's insane to me. The first day that I ended up moving there, it ended up like leaking, and it was just this whole thing, and they had to go through the ceilings, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And that was the day that I started talking to the manager, and I was like, what building was this? Like, why are these pillars here and cylinders here? Pillars? It was pillars. I was right the first time. Anyways, another big thing that is important, and again, like I said, your friends are going to become less and less prevalent in your life the longer that you're gone from your hometown. Just be aware of that. But also try your best to keep up with back home. Stay online, stay Facebook friends, stay Instagram friends, check in, FaceTime. FaceTime's huge. You're just a call away. Again, if anything goes wrong and you're like, I fucking hate this, I have to get out of this place, go home. Then go home. But start with the FaceTime, because it's just like when you're starting college and your parents drop you off at a dorm, and it's your first night ever being alone. You have nobody to call. You have no curfew. You're free. And they say, good luck. See ya. You look around and you're like, holy shit. Do your parents come pick you up? No. They say, wait it out. Give it a couple days. I'm sure they really want to come pick you up. And I'm sure you're terrified and you want to be picked up. But it's okay to not have to stress about that. It's okay to sit and be scared. It's okay. That is so empowering to sit there and be like, you know what? They're only a call away. They're only a flight away. They're a short drive away. Whatever your case may be, try. Just try. Push yourself. Push your boundaries. Your boundaries are there to test. Like, that is the whole reason in a boundary. Well, for certain situations, but like your own internal scarcities and your boundaries, like push them. Push them. Keep going. Enjoy the journey. It's all about the journey, baby. You guys, I'm so excited to share with you guys. HelloFresh is absolutely phenomenal. So it's the only nights that Raphael cooks because he cannot cook otherwise. But it is so simple and so easy. You get so many different package options that you can choose from. And not only that, but it comes with a piece of paper that tells you word for word what to do. And not only that, but he's a picture kind of guy, okay? He needs to see what he's doing. So he just follows the pictures and it is absolutely phenomenal. It's farmed to your front door within 7 days. So you're getting the freshest produce. It is absolutely phenomenal. I love them so much. And it also makes it so much easier because fall is picking up and then holiday season gets even busier. So I absolutely love not having to think about what I'm going to make for dinner. And not only that, but it also saves me time for the simple fact that Raphael can cook on those nights. I absolutely love HelloFresh. I'm super excited that I'm able to share this coupon code with you guys. Let me get the exact link for you guys. It is hellofresh.com/50human2 and you use code 50human2 for 50% off plus 15% off your next 2 months. So again, that's hellofresh.com/50human2 and you use the code 50human2 for 50% off plus 15% off your next 2 months. I'm very excited for you guys since HelloFresh is the #1 meal kit in America and I absolutely love it. Another thing I wanted to cover is that it is so normal to be scared shitless. I know I was just saying that. It's good to test your boundaries. It's good to be terrified. There is no change in comfortability because obviously you're comfortable. You're staying stagnant. As soon as you take an inch out of your circle, you take a step forward, that's change. That is good. That is nerve-wracking. It's terrifying because you're so used to the same things each and every single day. Every single day. You're like, I know what I'm doing. I wake up, I brush my teeth, I brush my hair, I do my makeup, I make the bed, I put on clothes, I make my coffee, I leave for work, I come home, I feed the dogs, I take the dogs for a walk, I make my own dinner, I go to bed. That is such comfortability and that's okay. And some people are totally fine with that. But I'm talking about the people that if you have a certain inkling in your own body that's like, I think I want to move away. There's a reason and listen to that. I'm not saying everyone wants to move away from home. And there's so much beauty in staying in your hometown, being friends with your childhood best friends for the rest of your life, having babies at the same time, being close to your parents, being close to your siblings, and just continuing that culture. That's beautiful too. But I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about if you're sitting there like, I kind of want to move. You know, I'm from a beach town and I really love a city. Or I'm from a city and I'm really ready for a mountainscape. Do it. That is your body telling you. That's your mind, your spirit, your future you saying you belong somewhere else. Your future you is somewhere else. I mean that wholeheartedly. And I know I don't really like to get very spiritual with some people because some people are probably like, you're a freak. I truly believe my future self is the one that's talking to me. When I have I'm getting chills talking about this. This is so silly. When I have something grumbling in my body and like in my mind, and I'm like, ooh, I kind of want that. That's your future self being like, no, this is what we have. Get there. Start working towards that. I kid you not. I've talked about that many times of like my husband, the house, like my home that I live in, the state that I live in. There was a reason my body was pulling me to Minnesota. There was a reason my mind was saying, you know what, I should go back. Oh, Florida's not for me. I think, again, spiritually, I think I was here to be with my father in his last few years of life. I did not know he was going to die. But could you imagine, one, if I never got to know my dad on the level that I got to know my dad and he passed, what the fuck would my body and mind be saying to me then? Of like, you stayed in Florida because you were comfortable. It would be on me. That's on me. But I that's where I go back into, I really, truly, truly believe it is your future self telling you, this is where we are. Start working towards it. And then that's when I think regret starts to happen, is if you're not listening And say again, perfect example, if I would have stayed in Florida for the last 8 years and I would have married my high school boyfriend or whatever my trajectory would have been, I would have a massive regret in my heart and in my body and in my mind and my spirit that I did not get to know my father at the level that I did. That's where regret kicks in. When you don't listen to your future self saying, hey, Kat, follow this path. Hey, you follow this path. Like, really, really, truly believe that. I'm sorry that I just had to get back into that spiritualness, but I really just believe it's your future self talking to you. It's okay to feel nervous. It's okay to go broke. It's okay to be broke. It's okay to struggle. I think there's so much beauty in the struggle. There's some friends that I have where they've been very privileged their entire life, and I love that. There's beauty in that too. But then when shit hits the fan, they don't know how to handle it. I've said that with my younger siblings. I feel like they've always had kind of the support that I didn't have. My mom was very, hey, put your feet on the ground and get running. Like, just start. If you fail, get back up. That's not failure. But there's other people that I have in my life where thought of failure stops them from even starting. And I'm like, that is failure to me. That is the one thing that I will consider failure, is not doing anything or not even trying because you're scared. I would rather test some waters and be like, you know what, that water is just not for me. Test another water, that one is. Back and forth, whatever the case may be. It might be that I have to test those waters 10 times to learn whether they are or not for me. Hence my ex-boyfriend. Just kidding. Anyways. There's so much beauty in the struggle because you learn so much more about yourself. And I will never say moving away from your hometown is easy. It is not easy at all. There is so much struggle in that, but there is so much beauty in that. So if you can persevere, if you can push through, if you can make the ends meet while you're broke and struggling and renovating, or not renovating, but furnishing your new apartment, if you're struggling to meet friends, if you're struggling to just in your own silence, that's okay. There's so much beauty in that, you guys. I cannot reiterate that enough. I know I sound like a broken record. So I kind of talked to you guys a little bit about my experiences of getting here and how I got to Minnesota. I'm sure I missed out a lot of statements and questions that you might have. Obviously, as we always say, go back to Instagram, ask all your questions on Instagram that you may have, and then I will answer in part 2. If you have any questions that aren't necessarily personally about me, but you're considering a move, or if you have done a major move, whether it's an hour away, 2 hours, 6 hours, 1,000 miles, I think that's the original quote that I said, ask them. If you have any story times to share them. I would love to, on episode 2 of this, of part 2 of this episode, I would love to answer any questions you might have about my own personal journey, your personal journey, or share your journey that you've had. So that will be coming next week. So stay tuned. I know I've been saying for the longest time ever that this will be one of my last few episodes in this house. I have started to furnish the podcast space, which I am so freaking excited about. I picked some chairs, we got some decor coming, and I'm just so excited to be there in the next few weeks. I don't know my chairs arrive. I think it's next week. So it'll probably be a couple weeks from now that I will be fully moved into the office space, which is so exciting. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about moving across the country. I wanted to share my experiences with you, the ups and downs. They're not easy. They are a journey in their own, that's awesome, right? It's not about the destination. It's about the journey, and still sure as shit have some stories to tell. So I think if you're considering it, my biggest piece of advice is just do it. Absolutely just do it. Get away. That was the other thing I wanted to say. You learn and you get to be who you really want to be. Because when your parents are around, your friends, just stuck in that, like, oh, what did my mom think? Or what will my mom and dad want me to do? Or what's my best friend down the street doing? Okay, what's the girl from high school still doing? Oh, she's doing that. You're just stuck up with the Joneses. Like, you're stuck in the routine of what everyone else wants you to do. But when you're on your own, you don't give a fuck. You're like, I have nobody to report to. I don't care what people think. I can live in this rinky-dink apartment, figure my shit out for the first few months, and just do your own thing. Again, granted, there's good and the bad in that, because sometimes you do need somebody to help figure out some with you. But anyways, so that's it for this week's episode. If you have any questions, head over to Instagram. The question box will be up in the next few days. And as always, thank you for supporting I Think I'm Human Too. We love you so much. There's some big things coming. Oh, that's the other thing. There are some huge things coming. One massively huge thing very soon. So that will be announced on Instagram. We have been teasing it. But that announcement will be coming soon. And I'm so excited. And I just can't hide it. Okay, that's all, folks.